Hello and welcome back to another video. In early November, I went to Hersheypark Christmas Candy Lane, and one of the coasters I rode was Wildcat's Revenge. And today I want to review my experience with the ride. This is my Wildcat's Revenge trip report. So let's start this review with the non-ride experience. The entrance is okay, it's just an entrance, but almost every RMC I've been on, there are lockers. It wasn't like the ones on Twisted Timbers, and we didn't memorize our code, so we just had to keep trying locker combinations, but it wasn't a big deal, and it was pretty much our fault because we didn't remember our code. The station is pretty average, but I am a big fan of the separate load and unload stations. This speeds up dispatches, and on a day of poor operations on one certain coaster, it was refreshing. We rode this 2 times. The waits were a station wait and an hour wait. I got on row 6 and the back row for both my rides. Also, one last thing before the actual ride. I like the photo ops of the ride, and there are good shots of a certain few elements. Okay, let's start with the ride itself. Now, I'm going to give my opinions on my back row ride, and then give my opinions on my row 6 ride. The ride starts with an interesting pre-lift section, and I got some very weak pops of floater airtime, but nothing major. And then you ascend the 140-foot lift hill. It is your normal RMC lift hill, as it picks up speed the higher it goes, and it is very loud. Then you hit the first drop. This is my favorite first drop on all of the RMCs I've ridden, which is only 3, but whatever. But this is still my favorite. And this is my only RMC in the back row, which probably does make a difference. Next up is the step-up underflip, which is the world's tallest, and it's okay. You get some nice hang time and some whip on this element, though. Both of the forces are quite nice and provide some variety in the ride. Next up is a camelback. This is a great moment of sustained ejector. This is probably my favorite element. It is a nice pure moment of ejector airtime and the best moment of airtime on the entire ride. This is an underrated element, and I love this moment on the ride. The next moment is a wave turn, which provides some decent airtime, albeit not as good as on Twisted Cyclone, but still a nice element. This does give the sensation of lateral airtime, and I like it quite a lot. This is an above-average element on the ride. The next element is a 0G stall. This is found on other RMCs like Joker at Discovery Kingdom, and this was my first RMC with a stall like this, and it is a great inversion that gives you a bit of hang time. I'm not sure if it's as good as the one on Steel Curtain, however. I would ride Steel Curtain more, but it's always closed. But anyways, this is a solid element. Next, you go into another wave turn-like element, but then you go up into a nice airtime hill. Oh, wait. It turns to the side and goes back down. Yeah, I'm not a very large fan of this element, as yes, it does give some lateral thrills, but I would rather get airtime in this spot. This is an RMC, not Thunderbolt at Kennywood. I would prefer this if it was just a normal hill, but honestly, it's not the worst thing, and still better than another ride at Hersheypark. Next is a 0G roll, which is fine, and then a turn into another 0G roll, which is also fine. I would also like to add that these inversions do provide some whip in the back, but both of them balance each other pretty perfectly, as they're like the same element. Then there are 2 airtime hills, and then another half hill, and then into the brakes. The second of the 3 hills is the second best airtime moment of the ride, and gives a nice bit of ejector airtime. And then that is Wildcat's Revenge. It is a solid RMC, and it is my favorite of the Christmas Candy Lane coasters at the park. The airtime is strong at parts, and the inversions are mixed in well. One thing I will say is the second half is a little disappointing. Well, not as bad as Skyrocket at Kennywood, but the first half is elite elements after elite elements, and I love the 0G stall. This is a very well-rounded ride that is quite re-rideable. This isn't like some RMCs, and it is powerful at all times of the day. I got a back row sunset ride, which was the best ride, and obviously better than my first ride in row 6, but that one was still great too. The ride is good in all seats, and this is a perfect addition for Hersheypark. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.